The planet Aurelia was once so peaceful that its people didn't even know what war was. Crystal cities shimmered beneath twin suns and fields of radiant light stretched endlessly across the horizon. The people lived simply believing that the vast universe beyond would never disturb their quiet lives. But on one fateful night, the sky suddenly split open. Massive warships belonging to the tyrant Kael Vorton descended like a storm of metal. Blazing cannon fire tore through the heavens, reducing entire cities to ash within minutes. The people fled in panic, but there was nowhere to run. Amid the fire and ruins, a young man named Arden Vale ran as fast as he could. Clutched in his hands was an ancient metal box, the very object Kael's army was desperately hunting. A blast of energy exploded behind him, knocking Arden to the ground. The box shattered open, revealing a strange black crystal glowing from within. It was the Dark Star Core. In a moment of desperation, Arden reached out and touched it. Instantly, dark energy surged into his body like a raging storm. A voice echoed inside his mind. Not his own. At last. I'm awake. From that moment on, Arden Vale was no longer alone in his own body. After touching the Dark Star Core, Arden did not die. But he was no longer truly himself. Ancient energy surged through his body, burning through every vein like molten lava flowing beneath the earth. Before Arden could even understand what was happening, a terrifying force erupted from him, blasting away the soldiers of Kael Vorton, who were closing in. Arden rose slowly from the wreckage, his breathing heavy. Then he heard it. A voice inside his head. Low, cold, and filled with pride. This body will suffice. Arden looked around in panic, but no one was there. The voice continued. I am Kar, the true power of the Star Core. In that moment, Arden realized the horrifying truth. The Star Core did not merely grant power. It created another entity inside him. A consciousness born from darkness and war. In the days that followed, Arden began losing control. Sometimes he was still himself a survivor, trying to understand what had happened to his world. But at other times, Kar took over his body. And every time it happened, violence followed. Warships were destroyed. Military outposts were leveled. Anyone who dared stand in the way vanished in an instant. Gradually a name began to spread across the galaxy's trade routes. Not Arden Vale, but the Phantom of the Star Core. The title The Phantom of the Star Core quickly spread across the galaxy. No one knew exactly who or what it was. Only stories whispered from port to port, a figure that appeared out of nowhere, wielding power capable of tearing apart warships with a single surge of energy. A being that sometimes moved like someone desperately trying to escape, yet at other times struck with the merciless force of a devastating storm. That being was Arden. Or rather, Arden and Kar. Two consciousnesses sharing the same body, constantly struggling for control. When Arden was in control, he avoided populated worlds, terrified that he might hurt more innocent people. But whenever Kar rose to the surface, restraint vanished. Violent attacks followed, and the terrifying legend of the Phantom grew with every encounter. Eventually, the stories reached the ears of someone dangerous. Draction, a bounty hunter feared across countless star systems. Unlike the others, Draction had no interest in killing Arden. He saw something far more valuable in that power. After a relentless hunt that spanned several planets, Draction finally trapped Arden, using an ancient energy sealing device. When Arden woke up, he was already imprisoned inside Draction's ship. The bounty hunter stared down at him with a cold smile. Don't worry, he said. I'm not going to kill you. His eyes gleamed with calculation. I'm going to use you. For months after that, Arden became the living weapon of Draction. Imprisoned aboard the massive bounty hunting vessel known as the Iron Halo, Arden was forced to participate in attacks across the galaxy. Draction quickly discovered the pattern. Whenever Arden was pushed into desperation, Kar would emerge. And when Kar emerged, nothing could stop him. Pirate bases were wiped out, massive warships were torn apart like paper. In a short time, Draction built a terrifying reputation thanks to the monster under his control. But the more that power was used, the more Arden began to notice something strange. Every time Kar took control, faint memories began to surface. The crystal streets of Aurelia, the laughter of its people, the glow of the twin suns. Then one day during a battle in the orbit of the planet Illyra, everything changed. A warrior in silver armor appeared in the middle of the battlefield. His name was Serion. Unlike the others, Serion didn't try to kill Arden. Instead, he activated an ancient energy device and aimed it directly at Arden, just as Kar was beginning to rise. A burst of light exploded outward. Arden collapsed. When he opened his eyes for the first time in years, his mind was completely silent. Serion stood before him and spoke with calm seriousness. I did not come here to kill you, Arden Vale. He paused for a moment. I came to give you back the man you truly are. After being freed from Kar's control by Serion, Arden felt something he hadn't experienced in years, a completely clear mind. No more whispers in his head. No more sudden bursts of rage. Only a heavy silence. And memories crashing back like a violent tide. Serion helped Arden escape the Iron Halo, and revealed a shocking truth. There was a way to stop Kael Vorton before he destroyed Aurelia. Using ancient technology, they could travel back to the moment before the invasion and prepare the planet. Arden agreed immediately. Together, they returned to Aurelia in the past. But the moment Arden set foot on the planet, a realization struck him like a blow. This version of Aurelia was still completely peaceful. The crystal cities still shone beneath the twin suns. Children ran and played in the plazas. No one knew what war was. No one was preparing for an invasion. Sarion believed the best course of action was to hide the Dark Star core and secretly protect the planet. "We must let them live the way they were meant to," Sarion said. But Arden couldn't accept that. He had seen Aurelia burn. He had heard the cries of millions dying. "Hiding won't save anyone," Arden replied, his eyes growing cold. His gaze slowly shifted toward the box containing the Dark Star core. "If we want to survive, we need a weapon." Despite Sarion's warnings, Arden could not silence the fear inside him. The image of Aurelia burning still haunted him every night. To Arden, waiting meant death. So he did the very thing Sarion feared most. Arden secretly broke the seal of the Dark Star core. In an ancient laboratory beneath the Crystal City, he began forging a battle armor from its destructive energy. Streams of black power spiraled around him like a raging storm, condensing into a suit of armor, dark, cold, and terrifying. When Arden activated it for the first time, a massive surge of energy shot straight into the sky. In that moment, the entire galaxy could see it. Far away in the depths of space aboard his colossal warship, Kale Vortan slowly turned toward the signal that had just appeared. A smile spread across his face. Found it. The invasion began years earlier than history had ever recorded. Warships filled the skies above Aurelia, while its people were still living in innocent peace. There was no army, no defenses, no preparation. Sarion stared up at the sky crowded with enemy ships, his expression heavy. He turned to Arden. "You have done the very thing I tried to prevent." Arden stood frozen in the newly forged armor of darkness, staring at the unfolding scene before him. And in that moment he realized the cruel truth. It was him had started this war. The skies of Aurelia burned red beneath hundreds of warships belonging to Kale Vortan. Massive vessels blocked out the twin suns, their shadows swallowing cities that had never known war. Alarms echoed across the planet. Panic spread among the people. Sarion looked at Arden, his voice low. "We still have one choice." But Arden could no longer hear him. Inside the armor forged from the Dark Star core, the ancient power had begun to fully awaken. Streams of black energy pulsed through his body like newly formed veins. Arden shot upward into the sky. As the first warships began to fire, he raised his hand. A colossal surge of energy erupted. Within a few short seconds, the impossible happened. Warships exploded in the vacuum of space. The invading fleet was torn apart by the power of a single man. Pillars of black light ripped through the formation like a raging storm. It wasn't a battle. It was absolute annihilation. From the surface below, Sarion stared up at the sky, blazing with explosions. But then he noticed something terrifying. Arden didn't stop. The dark armor began to shift and distort, energy spiraling around him more violently with every second. Inside Arden's mind, a familiar voice echoed once more. Low. Cold. "I told you. This power belongs to me." Carr was returning. And this time, Arden wasn't sure he still had the strength to stop him. Above the skies of Aurelia, the wreckage of burning warships still drifted through space. The invasion of Kale Vortan had been stopped, but the cost had not yet been paid. Arden hovered in the middle of a storm of black energy. The armor forged from the Dark Star core was beginning to distort, waves of power swirling around him as if trying to devour everything. Inside his mind, Carr was returning stronger than ever. "You've already seen the truth," the cold voice echoed. "Only power can save this world." Arden fought to keep control, but the dark energy tightened its grip on his mind. If Carr took over his body, that power could destroy all of Aurelia. At that moment, Sarion rose into the sky beside him. He understood exactly what was happening. There was no time left. Sarion placed his hand on the energy core of Arden's armor. Silver light from his body began to spread outward, clashing directly against the darkness. "You already saved this planet," Sarion said quietly. "Now, let me save you." A blinding flash of light erupted. When the light faded, Carr was gone. And so was Sarion. Aurelia was saved. Kale Vortan was defeated. But Arden could never return to his old life. He left the planet behind, wandering among the stars with a single promise: to use his power to protect, never again to start a war. If you'd like to see the next chapter of this story, comment 1.